What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Myron Hill of James Media. I'm a photographer and videographer located in Detroit, Michigan. And today we're going to be talking about 10 tips to help make better YouTube videos. Okay guys, tip number 1. So the first thing you should always do to make sure you get the best image quality is to actually white balance your videos. And you can do that with just a gray card. These things are so important because when you're actually setting your white balance in the camera, sometimes you may forget to actually set it towards daylight or set it towards clouds or set it towards indoors. So what this gray card does is when you're in post, you can actually just put this up to your camera, click on it with the white balance tool, and then your footage will automatically become white balance. Because if you don't, then your colors can look wonky. Okay, this is actually really important as well because your second tip for getting the amazing image quality is actually shutter speed. Now, for the best cinematic motion possible, you will always want to frame in 24 frames per second. And another thing is, when you're recording in 24 frames per second, you'll always want to double your shutter speed. If you're recording in 24, your shutter speed should be 48 or 50. Now, some cameras cannot do 48th of a second, so you want to set your shutter speed to 50. That will still give you the correct motion blur, and it's what a lot of people actually use when they record their videos. The third tip is to actually correctly expose your video. Now, right now, I'm looking at my meter, and my meter is just about center. What that means is, my highlights are not too bright, my shadows are not too bright. I'm correctly exposed in the center. I don't have to worry about my highlights being bright and then trying to fix it in post, and that'll just kind of mess up the image. Same thing with my shadows. If my shadows are too low and I try to bring them back, what I do is I'll introduce noise into the footage, and that is something you do not want to do. Okay, your fourth tip is to keep your ISO very, very low. What I mean is just use your base ISO, because what ISO is, if you start to bump it up, then it will start introducing artificial light, and it will actually add noise to the image as well. So what you want to do is just keep it down at your base. So if your base ISO is 100, which is what it started at, then keep it at 100. On the camera I'm using, my base ISO is actually 160 if I'm shooting straight out the camera, but if I'm using F-Log, then the ISO is actually 640. Okay, tip number 4. Now everybody may not be able to do this, especially if you're new and you're just starting out, but buy a good lens and shoot at the widest aperture possible. If you buy a kit lens with your camera and your aperture is only 3.5 all the way up to f11, then your lowest aperture is 3.5. It don't have to be the best lens out there. I'm actually shooting at a 1.4 now, but if you want, you can buy a lens at a 2.8, f2, f1.8. All those aperture numbers I just mentioned will actually help you get a good cinematic image straight out of camera if you're using it right. But the good thing about shooting at 1.4 is like the bokeh in it is just crazy. Here, let me show you. Alright, you see how that just blurred out the image perfectly? I mean, that was just creamy, smooth, and whatever else Peter McKinnon say. Okay, the fifth tip is actually audio. Please, and I stress you, please do not record audio straight out of your internal amps of your camera. I implore you to buy an external mic. You can actually buy $25 lavalier mics that will actually help your audio sound really good, and you can just do a little tuning in post to actually make it sound better. Right now I'm just using the Rode Video Micro, and I got it hooked up on a mic arm. This mic stand I use, I bought this maybe about 5-6 years ago, and right now I just got my little microphone hooked up to it. I didn't spend a lot of money on this mic. This mic was only about $50 or $60 when I bought it. The audio right now that you're hearing should sound way better than my previous video. Okay, tip number 6 is to actually frame your subject. Now right now, I should actually be sitting in the center of my camera right now, of my frame. I should be right dead center. When you're doing like something like this, like a talking head tutorial, you know, center of the frame work out perfectly. But if you're doing something like an interview, or you might be doing like a music video, or you just might be doing some B-roll, then you can either put your person in the center of the frame, or you can use the rule of third and actually have your person in 1/3 of the frame and have the rest of the view in the rest. This will actually help your image stand out and help the people become more immersed into your story. Tip number 7. A lot of people when they first start out, they just use natural light. That's awesome, but the only thing wrong with that is that when clouds start to come in, if it's like a cloudy day, then your lighting will change, and that will automatically change your image. Your exposure will start changing. It will start dropping and getting brighter, and that'll mess up your image. So I implore you again to actually just buy lights. You really don't need to spend a lot of money on lights. You could buy good lights just to shoot something like this for like $50, $60, $70. Some may come with diffusers, some may not. If that's the case, just throw a pillowcase over it, like a white pillowcase or a white shirt, white sheet, just to help diffuse it. That way the lighting you get on your skin will actually look softer, it'll look better, and don't look too harsh, because harsh lighting in the video, unless it's shot like that on purpose, it don't look that great. ND filters. Now what I'm using right now is an ND filter. What this does is it actually help protect my highlights and actually help my videos look more cinematic. You see when I'm turning, it's getting darker. I go there, it's getting brighter. Now just let me find this again. So always use an ND filter, because ND filters will help your footage look cinematic. It will also help you keep a wide aperture on your lens and keep the correct shutter speed. So right now, since I do have that ND filter on, I can record at 1.4 aperture. My shutter speed is 1/50th of a second, and everything else is just right in place. Because without this ND filter, everything would look wonky, and I would have to make adjustments to try to get a good image out of camera. In reality, it's not, because the values would just be way off. Okay, tip number 9 is music. When you're doing YouTube and you're doing a project, you always want to use royalty-free music. And the best source for your royalty-free music right now is Epidemic Sound. I've been using these guys for the last couple of years. I love their music. A lot of the bigger YouTubers use it, like Peter McCann, Maddie from Travel Fields, YC Imaging. You know, a lot of YouTubers that you're probably already watching right now use this service because they do have an extensive library, and their music is so good. And all you gotta do is pay $15 a month for this service, and then you can use whatever song you want. No strikes. You don't have to worry about your page getting taken down because people claiming copyright strikes against you. So please use this service. So for the 10th tip, it would actually be shoot out of camera what you want your image to look like. I kind of said this earlier. If you want your image to look a certain way, then make sure you have it set up in camera already. Like, perfect example, I have a blue light right behind me right now, and I want that light to be blue when I go color grade it. So the best bet, just have your setup ready. So your best bet would be to have your shoot structured to how you want your image to look when you're going into post. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Now this video is for the people who are just starting out with videography. That way when the time comes, I can actually help other people when they need it. So before you leave, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel, and please share it as well. Everything you do actually helps the YouTube algorithm pick up this video, and it actually shows that you want to see more videos like this. Hope you guys have a good day. Please stay safe. Peace.